In World War II, soldiers have come up with some very creative ways to deceive the enemy. They tied a bucket under the barrel, gun with rope, put another leak bucket above, let the water drip down. When the bucket below is full of water and heavy enough, the rope will pull the trigger and the gun will fire automatically. It gives the impression that the position is still under control. Help soldiers secure a safe retreat. Out to lure the enemy out. Their fake heads, mounted on a long stick and placed directly in the enemy's line of sight. When the enemy fires, it is immediately exposed and destroyed. It didn't stop there. Soldiers are so creative they wear shoes upside down to distract, leaving footprints in the opposite direction. Lead to. The enemy guesses the wrong way and makes the wrong strategy. These tricks are simple. It's very effective on the battlefield. In ancient Europe, to stop his wife cheating when her husband goes to war, the husband will make his wife wear a pair of virginity pants, then lock it with a lock. That way you can safely go. When you return, you find that the lock has been opened. The husband will know that he has been betrayed. Also in that period, to relieve toothache, people used to use it in a very bizarre way, studying dead mice into a paste, then mixed with oil and herbs, then apply it directly to the teeth. They believe that this mixture can reduce pain, even cures tooth disease. However, dead mice often carry dangerous bacteria. It can cause a more serious infection. In ancient China, to get the lotus heels be inches sharp symbol, beautiful women must endure the process of foot binding, extremely painful. First, soak feet in warm water mixed with herbs and animal blood, then trimming the toenails, and then bend the toes under the soles of the feet. Even break the arch of the foot to bend it in two. Finally, they used long bandages to squeeze their feet. Periodically remove the toilet and then squeeze it tightly. This process repeats day after day, until the foot is completely deformed. Become a 3-inch lotus god as desired. If you shoot a bullet at an atomic bomb, you might think that it'll instantly explode and turn you to ash. But in fact, the bullet just hit and crumbled on the surface of the bomb. The real power of the atomic bomb, it's in the fissile material inside, and only if these materials are precisely compressed into each other can start the fission chain reaction. That's what caused the terrible explosion. And if you shoot at a GA tank, it's okay. When the bullet at high speed pierces the tank, liquefied GA gas inside will quickly escape, even if the bullet creates a spark when the VA hits. But to cause an explosion, GA gas must mix with air, according to an exact ratio. It can catch fire and explode. And if you shoot a bullet into the tongue of a sharp axe, many people think the bullet will break apart, but the reality is more complicated. If the trajectory of the bullet is perfectly straight and hits precision shock piece, the smallest of the axe blades, at the same time the axe is hard enough and firm, the bullet can be split in two along the axis and split into two pieces. If you shoot a rhino horn, maybe you think the horn's hard enough to stop a bullet, like a shield. But actually, rhino horn is made of keratin, same substance as human nails. It's not as hard as we think. However, due to its characteristic curved shape, if it's a small caliber bullet and it's fired at a specific angle, the bullet can be bounced back. And if you shoot a 9mm bullet at a turtle's shell, you'll see it's not as strong as rhino horn. That's easily pierced. But if you put multiple shells in a row, the situation will be different. Bullets may not get through. However, with large bullets, you need at least 60 tortoises, just enough to stop the damage. And if you shoot through a sequence of 100 magnets, you might think that magnetic force will slow down the bullet and keep it. But in fact, bullets fly at speeds up to 2,500 feet per second, so the magnetic force has almost no effect. No matter how strong the magnet is, bullets usually made of lead or copper, it's going to go through the whole thing without any significant change of direction. In some ancient tribes, people used to use tools to sharpen their teeth into sharp shapes. Iron to reduce pain during grinding. They skillfully suck banana peels in a natural anesthetic. After many times honing perseverance, their teeth become extremely sharp. It's even dyed black to enhance its virility. With them, the sharper the teeth, the more attractive and beautiful the appearance. It's not just distant tribes. There used to be strange customs. Medieval Europe, there are also some very strange beliefs. For example, when that AI has a stomachache, people will take tufts of fur from a cat's mouth and get the patient to swallow it. They believe that cat tufts contain mystical energy, help ward off disease. For the toothache of that time, Tintin, that there are worms inside the teeth. The little one is gnawing. To get rid of the worms, they think of all sorts of bizarre treatments, from gargling with fire milk, to find a witch to cast an exorcism spell. If all of that is useless, they even try to spit like frogs, with strong conviction that we can get rid of the cavities. The magic of these ancient beliefs, though unscientific, but also reflects in part the desire for healing, man's faith and faith in nature at that time. If you want to own a diamond's sparkling teeth, artists will use sharp tools to drill small holes in the teeth, yours carefully. Size and depth of each hole, it's all carefully calculated, so as not to hurt the nerve inside the tooth. Then the jewel you chose will be attached to these holes and fixed firmly. By connecting technology, modern stick, when it's all done, every time you laugh, the diamond on my teeth, it will definitely attract all eyes. If you want a diamond, special and meaningful, you can also turn it on, of deceased relatives into diamonds. After professional processing, carbon and cho will be extracted, compression under extreme temperature and pressure, and then through the fabrication process, it will form a unique diamond. But if you shoot that diamond with a gun, you might think that the bullet will pop out, but the reality is quite the opposite. Even though diamonds have a very high hardness, but the VA force is coming from the bullet. Moving at high speed, we will focus on one. It's a point that creates tremendous pressure there. It's easy for a diamond to shatter in a split second. In some parts of Indonesia, when a loved one dies, the family was not buried immediately. Keep the body in the house for a while. They believe that the soul, they are still present until they are safe. The official funeral. Funeral arrangements are very expensive. Many families, it took years to save enough money. At that time the exam, it can be preserved and placed in the living room, where the whole family takes care. Feed as if the person is alive, until everything is prepared. New funeral. While in some African tribes, there are even more bizarre customs. For example, they'll put the baby's head into the dog's mouth for a few seconds. They believe that this act will lend power, super, of animals to repel the unclean. It will come out of the baby's body. Although this method sounds extreme, but the people there are absolutely convinced of its effectiveness. Not only that, in medieval Europe, method of examination. The disease also amazes people. Doctors at that time tasted feces, drinking urine, or even smell the patient's waste to diagnose a health condition. There was no modern medical equipment. Even if you have a toothache, some people think their teeth grow well and will invite the shaman to perform the exorcism, fright to drive the worm out of the teeth. The feeling of drowning is like this. When you're stuck in the water, the body will gradually use up the remaining oxygen in the blood. About a minute later, you start to feel intense chest tightness, forced to open his mouth to try to breathe, but instead, there's water rushing into the lungs. Now the brain realizes that the oxygen supply has been cut off. It makes the body start instinctively struggling to get to the surface. Panic attacks cause oxygen to drain faster. You will feel the pressure of the water from all sides. People gradually fall into a state of fainting. Just a few seconds later, the brain starts to stop working, and the body slowly stops resisting. This is a plane flying through the clouds. If you're parachuting from high altitudes and plummet straight down from above the cloud, what would it feel like? As you approach the edge of the cloud, what you see, it's like a soft cotton candy. When flying inside, you'll feel a little cold. And the cloud, it's now a thick mass of steam. Visibility down to about 2 meters. It feels like you're falling into a world. Quiet white milk. The rain will wet your hair and your goggles. It's like walking through a heavy rain. However, if you accidentally jump into a dark cloud, it's very dangerous. There's also a risk of being struck by lightning. I can't believe that with a small idea, Coca-Cola has saved more than 150 billion in advertising costs. At Christmas in Japan, they don't spend a dime on advertising. Simply turn the product packaging into a bow Christmas decoration. This creation has attracted countless fans. Many young people have fallen. I bought this limited edition of Coca-Cola. Then share bottle pictures. Water is transformed into social media. Help Coca-Cola achieve extremely large brand transmission land level. And McDonald's. There's also an equally smart packaging idea. Customers buy food but can't find a seat. They can open their pockets, take raw and turn it into a convenient dining table. Enough room to put food so that everyone can enjoy the meal anytime, anywhere. In France, the supermarket thought of a way to prove water. Their oranges are completely fresh. They print the time of squeezing oranges directly on each bottle, exactly to the minute. This way customers are extremely confident, thought and loved. What a surprise! Because they know exactly how fresh the product is. Less than 3 hours after opening on the first day, products have been the platforms. The local media is reporting, helped the supermarket achieve more than 50 million hits, 25% increase in shopping. If you have a very muscular body, don't naively think that muscle mass, it can stop bullets. It's a 9mm bullet with tremendous power, easily through soft tissue and even break bones. Let the muscles stop this bullet. Your chest must be at least 26 centimeters thick. It's almost impossible. And if that AI throws an axe at you, maybe you think a bulletproof vest will keep you safe. It's a shame. Although modern bulletproof vests can stop bullets, but very weak in the face of sharp cutting force. The edge of an axe, it's the same if you shoot a bullet at an arrow. You might think that the arrow's head would split the bullet in two, but in fact, bullets are usually much harder and faster, so it's highly likely that it will crush the arrow's head. Even in some rare cases, you can split the head in half. In addition, if you use a 9mm bullet to shoot tungsten alloy, you'll see the bullet bounced back. It leaves almost no trace. For tungsten, it's one of the hardest metals in the world. Bullets are usually impenetrable. Even if you use a more powerful bullet, like a 5-dot bullet, MG can only be used some small indentations on the surface of the metal, while the bullet itself crumbles. If you have a balloon the size of a car and scrub it up hair volume, the electricity generated is just enough to light a lamp battery in 1 second. But if you use a balloon the size of an entire house villa to rub on hair, the amount of charge will increase significantly. It's enough to fully charge a phone. And if you want to create a lightning, you're going to need a balloon the size of the Earth and pay it's on top 1,000,000 times to accumulate enough power. Outside if you want. Teasing friends, just let off steam from a balloon as big as a pickup truck. It's enough to blow them away. If the ball is as big as the house, airflow can blow up an entire car. If it's as big as the whole city, it can flip the roof. He flipped over a car and even blew down a forest. What's even more surprising is the brain. Your daily energy consumption, equivalent to more than 160 batteries. If you take the whole year, that's almost 60,000 batteries. Enough to fill a trash can. For the rest of your life, your brain will consume more than 4,000,000 batteries. If you replant them, the altitude will reach into space. For in ancient times, if you committed serious crimes, you can be locked up in a metal frame. Your body will be forced to constrict and unable to move. And as the metal gets tighter and tighter, pressure on the chest and abdomen also increases, causing blood vessels in the face and chest to burst, cause hematoma and swelling. Your chances are almost impossible to dilate. Every breath becomes extremely difficult. Pain lan out all over the body, and finally, you will die in that horrible torture. But it's not the cruelest. You may even have to endure barbaric punishments. Then, for example, being tied up, strangled, and every spoonful of molten lead is poured slowly into your mouth, torture you to death in excruciating pain. If you're suspected of being a witch, you can't escape. They'll tie you up and throw you in the water if you float. They'll think you really have magic and declare you guilty of witchcraft. It means executed. And if you sink, although proven innocent, but you've drowned too. It's crazy how old men shave their armpits. They don't use modern razors like they do now, which uses extremely sharp-edged shells or sharp stone pieces for hair removal. Some people even use fire to burn underarm hair, but that's not the craziest thing. In a tribe in Africa, boys at the age of 12, you have to put your hand in a glove full of poisonous ants in about 10 minutes. During this time, they have to suffer the most, with tears and red swollen hands. This is considered a symbol of courage, feeling and strong. After passing this ritual, they were recognized as warriors of the tribe and enjoy a higher status. Not only that, some women in other tribes do something more extreme. They pierce the lower lip and put a little dirt plate in it. Over time, the lips will heal and the disc will be replaced with a larger one to fit the disc. Sometimes they have to remove their front teeth. In the culture of this tribe, the larger the lip disc, the more beautiful a woman is seen as. If you steal a bill from a factory, what would it be like to print money? First, you need to know that money printing factories in China, under the direct management of the state, with printing speed over 20 per minute. You might think that between millions of sheets like that, if a worker steals a sheet, no one will detect it, but totally wrong. Printing factory. The money is strictly protected by the armed forces. Page 24 of 7. Camera system. Dead angle surveillance and security forces patrol. Continuously monitor all employee actions. It's all recorded and closely monitored. In addition, workers are usually a small part of a complex process. Embossed face printing included. Encoding paper cutting, so they're rarely exposed to the finished product. Even if you get the money, it's just a finished product. There is no value. It's almost scrap paper. Every real currency has a unique code, is linked to the officer in charge number. If there is an error in the number or code, system will immediately alert and hold accountable exactly to each person. So stealing a banknote in a printing factory, it's no different than finding the bottom of the tank. As impossible. If you shoot at a row of frozen Coke cans, do you think all the cans will be shot open? In fact, it's not, because each can is filled with liquid inside. That this fluid will slow down the speed of the bullet in a significant way. For example, if you use a 22mm gun to shoot, the bullet usually only passes through about 3 cans, and then stop because of the drag. It's too big, but with a bigger gun, if it is 10mm, the penetration will be much stronger. It can shoot through 36 cans at a time. Now let's say you use a bullet made of diamonds. You might think it's going to destroy everything, but the truth is quite the opposite. Even though the diamond is very hard, it's extremely brittle. Under strong impact, diamonds are fragile. Even the moment you pull the trigger, pressure in the barrel, he could have made the bullet. The diamond exploded into pieces. So if you shoot at a car's fuel tank, you might think the gas tank will explode, but it's not that easy. There's usually not enough in the tank oxygen to maintain combustion. Bullets fired could leak gasoline. If there is no fire, gasoline is difficult to ignite on its own, even if there's enough oxygen in the tank and the spark from bullets strong enough. Explosion capability is also extremely low. This man deliberately injected snake venom into my body because you always control the dose carefully, so he didn't die. Due to his intense fascination with venomous snakes for the next 25 years, he injected snake venom more than 700 times. I even feel like the injections aren't enough. He even let the snake bite him. He said after every bite, "You feel full of energy." In a short period of time, thanks to repeated exposure, your body is growing immunity to snake venom. His blood was later used for development new antitoxic drugs. Some people say that being tall is an advantage, but do you know the suffering of those who are too high? For example, this tall girl when raw. Open the door to welcome guests. You have to raise your head to 75 degrees. I can look into your eyes. But that's not the hardest part. When you cook at home, the kitchen is too low. Your back hurts so much that you have to sit down. Why is it so? Because of the standard height of the countertop. Worldwide is about 85 centimeters, a standard that's been in place since 1920, when the average woman's height is just 1 years. Over 100 years, those standards are almost unchanged. Door frame is still only 2 meters high. Height limits in amusement parks, based on data from 55 years ago, like this 2-foot guy. Went to Disneyland. Prove that you are not too tall. Just played roller coaster. You even have to take off your shoes, but still not allowed to participate. The loneliness of the high. Maybe only the ceiling understands. Do you believe it? In Florence, to buy wine you have to ring the bell. For example, this girl. I rang the bell twice. A small door on the wall opened slowly, less than 10 seconds after a glass of wine was given. That sounds like a new trick, but actually, this way of selling has been around for 600 years. When the Black Death pandemic broke out, the nobles, for fear of infection, did not dare to go out. He opened small windows on the wall to sell wine. The heaviest period. The whole city has hundreds of these windows. Among them, the most prominent is a door hidden under the ground. It's about 30 centimeters from the road. Guests must bow low. Someone can talk to the owner and ordered the wine. I want to, even though it's less than 20 yuan a glass. That's about 60,000 Vietnamese dollars. But the feeling of being served through that little doorway, it really makes people feel. It's like reliving the Middle Ages.